Let's resume our work with the flower. And what we're going to do is put in some of these richer colors in on this edge, a little more controlled than when we first put them in. And we'll do some softening, and then after that we'll do some dry brushing, which actually gets lets us put some details in, and some of those lines and veins in there that makes our flower look like a flower. Okay, I'll begin with using my number 8. Make sure it's clean, and get some Quin Red. And not too rich. Let's find out just how. Okay, that's need a little more water in there. All right, let's try that. Take just a little off the tip, and this line right through here, I'm going to try to add and pull it both directions. So I think I'll just go down through here. That might be a little rich, but we'll make this work. And it goes this way. So I'm just looking at the pattern, and then I'll rinse my brush and I'll dry it so it's mostly dry. And then let's go back and kind of soften with the paint that's there up to that edge. Dry my brush. That might have been a little rich, so I can push that down. I forget to rinse my brush. Yeah, it's a little richer than I expected. Too much pigment in there. Well, I just use my eraser. There we go. Okay, that's better. Still following the technique though. Now that this is lighter out here, when I pull it out, I'm actually working with less and less paint as I go toward this edge. I don't want that hard edge to be there, certainly don't. And I actually don't want it to be on this side either, and hopefully I didn't take too long. So I'm just going to work right on that edge just to take the edge off. So now I'm softening it so it goes right from a nice dark edge into something a little lighter. Softening it as I go. Rinse it. Come back. Take off a little bit more of the pigment. I'm actually pushing it back. There we go. And down here, dissolve or soften that edge and pull it out a little. All right. And then on this side too. Now let's learn from our last experience. I've just taken a corner of it and I've added water to it. So I've made it half as much, and now I'm going to make that half as much again. I think it's okay to go to the extreme on the other side of having it too rich. So we're going to do this part right here, and it looks like if I just bring in some right down there. All right, that's probably as far as I want to go. Rinse my brush, dry my brush. Okay, and don't take too long. Go get this edge, just on the edge. Don't go into where you've put your color, otherwise you'll take it away. And I'm just pulling that edge up into my flower, not getting the paint here, but getting only on the edge. And I'm just, well, softening it out. And I can do the other side too. Dry my brush. Let's soften this edge too. I don't want to go all the way to the outside. I like that light out there, that lighter pink that's on this outside edge. I got the impression though that it's too light. So I'm trying to fix it. So now with my brush lighter, I'll just bring that up. So it's still a lot richer in the center. I can come back to that. I'll do that with some dry brushing. Go back on this side. So I'm not really creating all the texture. I am getting though the right tone that's in there. And I think I'll bring this right up to this line. I want to dissolve that line. Bring it right up to the other. Okay, and then this one curves out this way. So I'm going to rinse my brush, dry it. So the only paint that I'm going to use to make this edge of this is the pink that's already there and my clean, damp brush. So as I pull this, I do want to pull it so it ends at the same place. I am pulling pink out, and it is becoming a petal that ends in, well, it looks like it ends into nowhere. In other words, it just goes off and disappears, which is okay with me. Okay. Okay. So where are we? Let's do the center one now. Okay. Let me make sure I know what's on my brush. Just a little bit that's there. That just needs to go right here on the edge. And okay. Oh, and then this edge right here. So we'll just complete this line. We'll bring it down right on that line. And now that that's there, we'll clean our brush, dry it off, and we'll pull that color in. So the goal here is, well, let's exaggerate it a little bit. If this was a nice, rich edge, dark edge, we can't just have it being a painted edge. We want it to be a nice edge, but we also want it to blend or be softened. So we put it in with a clean, dry brush. We can go back and soften that, not by grabbing all of that edge that's there, but just by grabbing its very edge and pulling it in. So it gives that sense of roundness. Or when you did shading to create a contour, that's what we're doing. That's what we're trying to do. Especially in the places where it makes sense to do it, which is right through here. And then we can see from the picture we have a little bit of pattern that goes up in here, and we'll be taking care of that here pretty soon. And actually, I'm starting to get into the dry brushing that we would be doing. So let's take a look at that next. But first, I think I want to finish my leaves. I'll let the top part dry a little bit more. Clean my brush, dry it off. Okay. And what I want to do is this side here. I want to make that a little cleaner, a little smoother. I'll grab some water. And need to so I have two goals here. One is to make a smooth line and finish the edge, or finish the bottom. So a smooth line being the edge, and get it down to the bottom. And this is some of our lighter colors, so I went back for some more yellow. I want to make sure yeah, not liking the way this is turning out. But it is smoothing. I think our paper is kind of balled up along that edge just a little bit. And up here got a little fat, which means I must have originally made this leaf too narrow. Yes, that's it. That's exactly what I did. And where's our green? Dark green. And this line goes right down here. I think that's... Now see where I've painted green over green and it made it dark? That's not going to turn out well. I can tell already. That is how it's going to be when it dries. So I need to go and do a little softening of that interface between the two, the new and the old paint. And that's what happens when we layer it. I'll pick up some paint by taking my paintbrush. I dried it and I rolled it. I just need to let this dry and then come back, see what I can do to fix it later. And I don't know where to end it. Okay, so that edge has been added. I guess I'm going to fix a few things here and there that seemed to need a little attention. And I realize that as I do it, I could be creating more problems than I'm fixing. So, you know, in this exercise, this is the first time that we have done or created this type of image. So there's a lot of experimenting going on while we're doing it, and that's expected. There are things that are going to mess up, and that's expected. And you are going to do your best to figure out what happened and fix it. So this here's an example where this crosses over. It's not so much that it has to cross over, but rather it's the puzzle or the project or the how do you solve it when one crosses over the other, and you paint the two when they come together. And then underneath it, that to me is more of a fail right through here. Got some unknown area there. And it was narrower here, obviously, so what can I do to fix that? I could wait till later to fix it, but since it's wet, if I were to take my paintbrush, clean it well, dry it, paint up, in other words, I'm pulling the color up as much as I can, and then I'll dry it. Now it'll never be white, but when I put the edges in, it could dissolve away. And you know what? I'm not sure if it's wise to put those edges in now. Depends on how dry that I think that is. So I'll just touch where I already have paint and pull it down on that inner edge that is supposed to be that color. Now I'm going the other direction, taking paint from down here that's nearly dry, pulling it up. Now, if your paint is nearly dry, it gets really messy and it bunches up. So once you start to notice that what you're working with is wet and dry, then that might be the sign to leave it alone. There. It does look like somebody fixed it, but that's okay. That's what we do. So, so far so good. I think my stem will need some more work, some more touch up. But we talked about dry brushing. The top may be dry enough now to do that. So let's get prepared. I'm going to clean my brush, my number 8 round, dry it off, make a nice point, and set it down. I'm going to get my small brush. It depends on who you buy the brush from, what the number is. This could be called a number 2, or mine says a 0, but it's our smaller brush. You should have one in your set. Okay, so I'm going to go up into here and actually put in some detail with this small brush. Sometimes I'll be adding color, and sometimes I'll be taking it away. So I'll get into my red. Just get a little. Now this is dry. I'm not going to pre-wet it. I'm going to pull my brush to a nice point, and I'm going to treat this or use it as if I'm just drawing on this. So I see some lines here. Actually, I see some lines going down. So I'm just going to draw paint on a line like it's a pencil, kind of down through here. And I'll go get a little more paint. Roll my paintbrush to make sure it's a nice, not a lot, just, and then do it again. It looks a little rich. Let's go to where I know I need more paint. Every time I look, I see something that I've already done. We'll put some more lines through here. And I do allow my line, I guess, to be somewhat organic. In other words, that one bent, which is fine. In fact, I can probably justify it by saying that there's parts of the original picture that look that way. But I also keep it connected. So we're just adding this variegated pattern kind of through here. A little more paint. Not a lot, just a little. Just enough that so it comes off the tip. This is dry brushing. We're putting dry paint on, or paint on dry paper. And I think these end right about here. And then this one has lines. Now, it's important to notice which way they curl. Do they curl this way, like a letter C, or a backwards C? And I'm thinking they curl like a backwards C. So once I put some of those in there, since some of the other patterns that are there will look like they were meant to be there all along. This is too harsh. I have to take care of that in a little bit. And even from here, these get extended. And you know, if you were to take this petal out altogether, you would see that it is all the same color. So why do we have these light areas where it's, well, nearly white? It's because that is where the light is reflected off of this. So there's probably all of the veins come up through the center, and they break out from the center and they go either direction. In this case, we can see them going in this angle, in this direction. Too dry. On the other side, they are so compressed together that it just looks like it goes vertical, which is fine. So I want to get up here. Now I'll continue this. And I do want to use my model to make sure that this matches, because it has to, well, it has to be believable. So this jagged edge that I so skillfully put in by accident, I'll take advantage of it, and as I see these edges, I'll bring down just a line, and it'll make it look like I planned that. So this is dry brushing, putting a little bit more of a pattern, and this is just, I'm probably painting with maybe 2 hairs on the tip, and I'm not doing a lot as I'm adding it. Okay, all right, need to move on. Too much fun. So we got some more to do on this side. Actually, this could be darker, but we've spent a lot of time. So, and I will tell you, just like every other project that we've done, painting this one time, and I mean this sincerely, showing it to your mom, and she frames it, and that's the last time you paint this subject, is not the way to be successful. The best thing you can do is, after this week is over the weekend when you have nothing to do, which, face it, that happens, paint it again. Now I got to be careful up here. Don't want to make this too regular. So how does that? That comes right up. So I want to make sure that this edge is believed in. So what I'm going to do is take these and go right up to this edge. And by doing that, down here, got to get my brush controlled. By doing it right here, just pulling it right off that edge, but not touching that edge, it makes it expected to be all the way up here, so that as it's faint, even out here in the air, it and it dissolves away, it's believed to be there. Now those last strokes I did were kind of fat up there, but I kind of don't care. So I'll continue this around, trying to make them skinnier. There they are. I just need to not have so much paint. Too much paint makes it makes the lines fatter. So I'll bring that right up there, and I'm leaving that space there, so it defines one over the other. Where it curls, where it rolls over, that's where it's darkest, which is this part right here. And once I've got that in, I can do what I've done before, except with a smaller brush. So now I think you're seeing what's happening is, as we're putting in this detail, all the techniques I did in a large sense early on, I'm doing now in a smaller sense, and I can get smaller and smaller and more detailed. So what I've done is I've added that edge, and now I'm softening it a little bit, just pulling it in. Okay. Well, some of these lines are a little gross, but that's okay. So we'll finish our flower. We'll do some texturing in here. We've got to finish the bottom. I'm going to go back and finish the stem. I think we need to do the bottom together, and then I'll let you work on the rest of this yourself. Okay. Now so the bottom is more of, where's our sample? Our bottom actually looks like light is reflecting underneath it, but it's got this yellow, not just this bright yellow like Hansa yellow, but a little bit of orangey yellow like New Gamboge. So we're gonna do that. We'll go in and get some of that. I'm gonna continue to use this small brush because it's small space, and the brush is in my hand. And we'll get some of that, and we'll go into the Quin just a little, because it's becoming an orangey color. Not a lot. So I'll try to thin it out. Try to find a spot out here to thin it out. There. As I push it around, I can see that that is going to be reasonable. Touch the tip to the paper towel so I don't douse it with just a lot. And it looks like it comes from inside here and pulls down and lays. It has to go right into that green, not across or over that green, but underneath this. It actually defines underneath this petal. And how much up the other side we go, well, depends on how you interpret what you see. I can see a little bit. Yeah, and we got to, in our sample, this looks like a light reflection, and it may be just because of the copy or the printout or however it was interpreted in software. It doesn't have to be there as a white spot. So now I'm going to do the same thing we did before. I'm going to put some more pink in there, and then I'm going to dry brush this edge in just a little bit more anyway. So before I get myself in trouble, rinse my brush, grab a little bit of Quinn Rose, and want to finish what I didn't here, which is to bring this up from the bottom. And that's a little dark, and I plan to fix that. There. I should have started softening it sooner. So it goes up into nothing. And now I can grab this and soften this line. What I'm doing now is with this lightest brush, this softest tip, I'm actually scrubbing this dry edged line because I need to dissolve it. It can be a jagged line, but it can't be like that. Okay. And up through here. Do I think we have some lines? Again, this is still within our dry brush. Bring some of those lines down. They're long ones because it's the center of the petal that come down through here. Some bold ones. And the lines that come down aren't just dark lines, they're white ones as well. Lighter colored ones. And clean brush, dry my brush. Now we'll go down into here and add this. And the junction where the two come together. Too rich. I want it to fade into nothing. I think what I'm seeing is it's drying too fast, and I'm getting layering, where it's one layer is going over the top of the other, and it's adding to the color, and then it's making it darker. All right. Well, I think we've done enough here to learn some techniques, some solutions. That's going to be too rich. Dry brush. And this is a good exercise to do again. And do again on your own. See if this is ready to blend. And oh, we haven't fixed this. Well, I think we're at the edge of our time, so I can put a little bit of dark in there, but I think we're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to end so you guys can work on your painting and finish it yourself. So I'll switch cameras for a moment, see if that helps your view. Not that you have to copy mine or the original. That's a distorted view. Well, that's as good as that gets. So I've worked through the flower. There's some more blending that can happen in the bottom. I am going to fix my stem a little bit through here, but I got a good foundation of color. I don't mind the jaggedness, but this would be a good one to do again on your own. So um, I look forward to seeing your paintings.